pit where the sun forgot, old bones breathe dust again. Crown of rust on a skull half broke, eyes like grinding flint, my friend. Salt in the seams of the earth, clinging to my tattered cloak. Every grain a stolen year, every breath another joke. I am the Lord of Song!
Step into the shadows of the deadliest dwelling on Earth. You've arrived at Castlevania, and you're here on business to destroy forever the curse of the evil Count. Unfortunately, everybody's home this evening. Bats, ghosts, every kind of creature you can imagine. You'll find them all over the place if they don't find you first. Because you've got to get through 6 monstrous floors before you even meet up with the master of the house. Your magic whip will help, and you'll probably find a weapon or two along the way. But once you make it to the tower, you can count on a duel to the death. The Count has waited 100 years for a rematch, and he's ready. Are you? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Castlevania, the original. We are playing the Japanese version, available in the Castlevania Anniversary collection. This is one of my favorite games to play growing. Well, I didn't play this particular one till later. I got into Castlevania with Symphony of the Night, but I became a big fan of the franchise, and especially these classic Castlevania titles. You can't beat this intro sequence. It's an absolute classic. We find ourselves a hidden treasure and move along into the first area. There's 6 levels to get through, 6 bosses, before you can finally make your way to Dracula. As you heard in the opening, I read that description from the original manual, by the way. For a little history on this version, we're playing the Japanese version because it has an easy mode. I can beat the normal version, but it's for the purposes of making a video, it's easier to play on easy. The reason this is the case is because this game was originally known as Devil's Castle Dracula. It was made for the Famicom disk system. Now, that version of it had a game save feature as well as better audio in general. When they imported it into the West for the Nintendo Entertainment System release, they jacked up the difficulty considerably, making the enemies do more damage, especially at the end of the game. So what Konami did was because it was so different, they actually imported that version back to Japan and released it as this, but they included an easy mode here. You see we started with extra lives and extra hearts as well. So yes, it's definitely an easier version. This is a very challenging game. If it's your first time playing, I would definitely recommend playing the Japanese version because of the easy mode and working your way up. It's a shorter game, being only 6 levels, so you can definitely take your time and get good, as it were. Very rewarding to play, I find, and it's also fun to see how all these classic elements really came into place. Here we got I believe they called them fishmen in the original U.S. instruction booklet, obviously being an analogy of the creature from the Black Lagoon, as it were. Well, one of the original design focuses of this game was bringing the classic, like, Universal era monsters into a video game, making a video game about them. So, yeah, we've got the creature from the Black Lagoon, we've got Frankenstein, we've got the Mummy, and of course Dracula himself. So it's definitely a love letter, as it were, to horror cinema of the time. You're going to see me using the holy water to destroy a lot of these candles at times, or my sub weapon in general, because I use that to get the double and triple shot upgrades, as that's how you do it. So there are a few places you can find them as like a secret. But generally speaking, if you use your sub-weapon to destroy a candle, it eventually will give you, from one of those candles, one of those shots. And with a double shot, the first boss, the giant vampire bat, is pretty easy. Especially with the axe. You're given an axe specifically for that fight, so you just have to figure out his pattern and avoid his attack. Your movement's pretty restricted. Here is Trevor Belmont, looking like his little Conan the Barbarian self back then. The whip has a good range once it's upgraded. Of course, it being the metal version, the flail, as they call it, does double damage as well. You can only hit directly in front of you, so you have to time it just right. Your jumps are stunted. Not only are they short, but you can't change direction in the air, so once you leave your feet, you're committed to it. And there's quite a few secrets. I'll show you the ones I know of. I used to know all of them, but I think I'm missing a couple of them in this version. And we're going to be trying to use this sub-weapon more often so we can get the upgrades for it and keep it. Because I do like the combat cross, or the boomerang as they call it in the instruction booklet. One of my favorite sub-weapons in the series, really. You just can't beat that, the hit that it does, in my opinion. So yeah, there we got a triple shot, so we're good. And because we're playing, well, that's just the double actually, because we lost the axe. That's right, my bad. Oh, no, it is a triple. That's right. I forgot we were playing on easy mode. On easy mode, normally when you change sub-weapons, you lose your double triple shot upgrades, but because it's on easy mode, we retain it, which is pretty cool. You'll also retain your sub-weapon and your upgrades if you lose a life on easy mode. Like I said, a lot easier, but especially towards the end, you really need, if it's your first time playing, play on easy. The easiest way to deal with these Medusa heads is to keep moving forward. That's just the way they spawn in. The way they're targeting you, they won't be able to hit you if you're moving forward steadily. Don't jump or panic. If you can. You know, obviously, they also pop up in platforming segments, which is an issue. Or you can stand still sometimes. Another thing you might want to know about the original Devil's Castle Dracula. There was 2 versions of it made originally, and a third one made a few years later. On different platforms that were very different games. This, of course, was the Famicom Disk System version. But there was also one made at the same time for the MSX gaming computer. When you pick up a sub-weapon, it replaces your old one, so be careful that it's what you want. And like that, I kept the upgrade, but I lost my damn cross. I was not happy. The MSX version, while it used the same assets, so graphically it looks the same, the MSX can't handle screen scrolling. So what they did for that version was they made it non-linear. You have to explore the level, find the key to the boss, and then defeat the boss to move on for each level. You still fight the same bosses, but it is different. You have a different inventory. You can use different weapons and sub-weapons. Very simple inventory. Nothing like, it's not Legend of Zelda or anything, but it's definitely got a lot of elements that you won't see in this particular version. And that version was released in the West as Vampire Killer. So Vampire Killer and Castlevania were both originally Devil's Castle Dracula, but they were very different versions. Now the third version that came out later was Konami made for arcades. That version came out in the West as Haunted Castle. And once again, it had a different format and also completely different graphics. It also had a lot of audio, great audio in it, voice acting, really good soundtrack. It was also and completely new graphics. The bosses were mostly the same, with some differences. But the layout was there. There was no platforming that one. It was a straight up side-scrolling action game. And it was one of the hardest video games ever made. And this is a franchise known for hard games. And for Haunted Castle to be one of, if not the hardest in the franchise, is saying something. Because not only is it cranked up on the difficulty for being an arcade game, but it's actually got limited lives, guys. Even if you keep putting quarters in, when you run out of lives, you still have to start all the way over again. So that is brutal for an arcade game of the time. Now, we don't have a good sub-weapon for this fight, so we'll have to make use of what we have. Luckily, the Queen Medusa here is vulnerable to the watch, so it worked out for us. And, yeah, so Haunted Castle, Vampire Killer, Castlevania were all originally Devil's Castle Dracula. They did do a remake of Haunted Castle more recently. I believe it's included in the Dominus collection. But that version makes it more of a standard classic style Castlevania because it was made off of another remake. So we'll get into that when we get there. We are going to play the Haunted Castle remake eventually. There were also later remakes that kind of updated the control schemes and stuff, like Super Castlevania 4 on Super Nintendo and Castlevania Chronicles on the PlayStation 1, which we will play the Chronicles version. I won't be playing the Super Nintendo version yet. I won't be playing Vampire Killer yet. I do want to play Vampire Killer when I decide to sit down and play Simon's Quest. We're going to be skipping Castlevania 2 in this marathon. Because it fits more with Vampire Killer. It has a similar design scheme to that game. So when I do Vampire Killer, I will do Simon's Quest. For now, we're going to do this game. and we're going to play through Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse. Those will be our 2 NES games, and we'll move onward from there, guys. There's a host of Castlevania games. I figured, why not? It's been a long time since I played through all these games, and I am such a big fan. We're already playing Suikoden, Castlevania. We've already got classic Metal Gear on the channel as well. I believe Metal Gear came out the same year as Devil's Castle Dracula, or Vampire Killer if you prefer, on the same system. So, yeah, cousin franchises that are both still fun to play. And of course, for the 40th anniversary, they announced a new Castlevania game, or not Simon's Curse, but Belmont's Curse. I don't know if I'll get that one yet. It doesn't look bad, but it looks indie, and it's got another female protagonist. And nothing against female protagonists. I just generally prefer not to play as male ones, right? And I don't consider that a downside necessarily to the game, just a personal preference. So you play as Trevor Belmont's daughter in that one. So it is a new classic style Castlevania, which is good. And it does seem to be true to the gameplay. It's just very low budget. There's a secret one here somewhere. I can't remember where or how to get it per se. And it spawned there, but I didn't hear it. So I didn't go get it. It was behind me. That was on me. These crows can be a pain in the neck. And I lost my sub-weapon again. I wasn't happy. It is useful for this area. But, you know, the stopwatch is the one weapon really nobody wants to have. Get the timing on those crows, they're easy peasy. So yeah, that's just a brief recap of the Castlevania franchise. Very fun games to play. I strongly recommend them to anybody who's interested in retro gaming, or if you've played maybe an indie title or something like these designs and you're interested in just having more. Spiritual successor, when they stopped making Castlevania games, was the Bloodstained series, which has 3 games currently. And it is an independent series made by Koji Igarashi, who made Symphony of the Night, so it is in that style. There's a sequel coming up that looks really good. I have the games on my PlayStation. There's the tower we'll eventually head to. I always like that little bit of environmental storytelling, you know, you can see the destination in the background, which is cool. It's a detail I appreciate. And also because we're on easy mode, we don't get knocked back when we get hit, which is a killer. And there you can already see the next boss. And even though the knife probably would have been better, I decided not to. Yeah, these bosses are a lot easier as well in this version. And they went down just like that. 2 mummies down. There you have it, guys. Another iconic horror screen villain taken down. So yeah, you've also got the Bloodstained games. They've got the Castlevania Advanced Collection. They've got the Dominus Collection, which have all the portable games. They haven't re-released the main console ones. I always like that map screen too. Very nice, very nice. And a bit of a cinematic start. We are now in the lower levels, underneath the castle. So yeah, you can't get like the Nintendo 64 Castlevanias, you can't get the PlayStation 2 Castlevanias, or Xbox 360 ones, which is unfortunate. Lament of Innocence and Curse of Darkness are considered really good games. I did play them both back in the day. I wasn't super crazy about them for my own personal reasons. There you can see, if we had gotten knocked back there, we'd have died. So yeah, I mean, you have emulation options for that. You pretty much have to go with. There's also the Dracula X Chronicles, which were a PlayStation portable game that hasn't been re-released. You can't get your hands on that anymore normally. So, along with the original Castlevania Chronicles. So yeah, this franchise is also really well known for its music. It's got a lot of catchy tunes to it. And it's released several soundtracks over the years to the video games that have also been very popular. I've always wanted to get some Castlevania Island. This area is really cool. We made it back up to the top. And we've got these the eagles swoop by and drop what are called flea men. Or if you're playing going by the English instruction booklet, it's hunchbacks. Which are pretty fast little enemies. They go down pretty easily. In this game, you don't even have to crouch to hit them. You just hit them. But you have to get the timing right because they jump. They jump and they're pretty quick. So, yeah. You just have to be careful, and it's just kind of an iconic area here, these hanging gardens, I think they're referred to usually as. Oh, and they are dancing around me today. You can see how it can escalate pretty quickly. And you can actually just skip that skeleton dragon there. The doors also function as checkpoints. If you lose a life, you will respawn at the last door. That's good to know. I think there's another hidden treasure in this hallway somewhere, but we've also got some more enemies to worry about, like these skeleton dragons. Now, if you've got your triple shot holy water, they go down really easy. But if you don't, you're going to have some trouble. Luckily, there's a pork chop in the wall there, as they call it. If you know where all the pork chops are, that's a big help. And as usual with these older games, it's really a matter of, you know, practice makes perfect, right? Another one bites the dust, and we've got another boss chamber coming up. Pretty well equipped for it. With the triple shot and the holy water, this boss is easy peasy. Most of the bosses are easy with holy water because it causes hit stun. And it'll lock them in place. And as long as it does that, and you've got the triple shot, you can basically just keep dropping that holy water, and down they go pretty quickly. Frankenstein is actually, or the Frankenstein monster I should say, is one of the toughest bosses in the game. Also because Igor there on his shoulder, a little flea man or hunchback, who will just ruin your day. So yeah, with the triple shot holy water, much easier. If you get there without it, you're gonna have a tough time. You can't hurt Igor. I mean, you stop him when you hit him temporarily, but he'll never go away. You have to hit the monster, and it takes quite a few hits. Alright, we've made it up to the 5th area here. We're almost finished the game. When you're good at the game and you've practiced it, it is a pretty short game. I beat it in about half an hour. Fun, just short, and it is rewarding. You get a strong sense of satisfaction, or at least I do, when I complete one of these challenging old games that I don't get from the newer ones as much. So, that for me makes it worth playing once in a while. I probably don't play the original as much because there are so many remakes of it that I think are just better. Another example of being on the, again, this version is the Famicom, not the disk system, but the regular Famicom. But similar limitations to the NES, where if something goes off screen, it pretty much ceases to exist. So a lot of the bones this guy's chucking just go away. You know, that part does make it easier. You can also sometimes trick enemies to wandering off screen, and same thing, they'll go away. Here's another hidden goodie. This is a 1-up, which is extremely useful. If you die here, you can just keep collecting that 1-up, and you're good. These red skeletons, they take a hit and then they come back, which is frustrating. And I tried to holy water that flea man for some reason. Not my smartest call. But yeah, there's been a lot of remakes of this over the years. For Super Castlevania 4, one of the most popular ones. I shouldn't have destroyed that yet because I could have gotten those candles, but it's no big deal. Super Castlevania 4 changed a lot in addition to having all new graphics and the new stages. It also added multi-directional whipping to it, as well as whip flailing. And which really changed the way the game is played. It was the first time you used a separate button entirely for the sub-weapons. So you could use switch between your sub-weapons and your whip very easily. But because you could whip in any direction, I think it made the game in general much easier. And to compensate, they made the game itself much harder. So it is a tough game, but not unbeatable. This is, and we're working our way up to the laboratory here, which is a cool little spot. But then sometime later they made another version of Devil's Castle Dracula, another remake for the Sharp X68000, I believe it was called. It was a Japanese computer system, which was much more faithful to this original game. They still reimagined a few bits and bobs here and there, rearranged the bosses. But, whereas Super Castlevania 4 was really like a whole new thing, new gameplay style and all that, the X68000 version really went back to the classic style, the stunted jumping and the one direction whipping and all that. A lot of people, in retrospect, aren't crazy about that. They wanted it to just stay like Super Castlevania 4, But I think at the time the Japanese fans just preferred the classic style, and that was why they stuck with that, or went back to it rather. That's the impression I got from it, because it was a Japanese exclusive game, and it was pretty much the inspiration for the series going forward. If you play, you know, the next major title in the series was Dracula X, which definitely plays in the classic style rather than the Super Castlevania style. So, and this is all superfluous information, of course. We're starting to head towards the harder bits here. This is one of the hardest areas in the game. I ducked because I'm thinking later games you could duck. This is what got me there. This is in live commentary, by the way. I'm sorry to add that in now, but it's a fact. I recorded this. I was up late last night, and I didn't want to disturb the neighbors, so I didn't record it with live commentary. And we're doing it now instead, so... Man, I threw my sub-weapon on the stairs there, which I didn't mean to do, and now I'm in a real nasty spot. We're down to just pretty much one hit, and that skeleton got us. My first death, guys. Leaves us in a bit of a position here, because we've still got our, because it's the easy mode, we got the holy water and the triple shot, but I still have to upgrade my whip, so it would be even worse if we were playing normal, or of course the US version. Yeah. And since I know that that's a cross, I just ignored it. You don't have to go all the way up the steps, obviously, so you go up far enough that you won't get hit, but you can still reach them, and you can take that that dragon skull out there. I think they called them bone towers, bone pillars, right? Bone pillars. This is one of the hardest sections in the game. The gallery, I guess you'd call it, because it does have, obviously, places for paintings, even though we don't see any paintings on most of them. Kind of an iconic version. Most versions of this game do have this hallway in some sense, and it's usually one of the toughest areas there is. And I am starting to get pummeled here, so we're going to try some holy water. Took care of the work for us. We lost the one up there, would have been nice. We're low on health. Medusa heads are giving me a time. Luckily, if you get here with a triple shot, holy water, you got it made. This is one of the toughest, probably the toughest, well, no, one of the toughest bosses in the game if you don't have the triple shot holy water. Otherwise, you stun lock them in the corner, there's nothing you can do, and you win. But the actual fight is way more difficult than that. So, it's imperative you try to reach the Grim Reaper with your triple shot holy water. And it's a lot easier to do that on the easy mode of Japanese. Now we're at the final stage. We're up to working up our way to the big bad himself, Vlad the Impaler, Dracula, perched atop his castle. He resurrects every 100 years or so. We got these giant bats here, just like the first boss. And it's easier to avoid them than to try to take them out. It gives you an axe because the axe is actually pretty useful, at least for stopping them. And that one I could have just walked by. That's the general tip for that whole section. Just walk by. That guy got a cheap shot in. He was being cheeky. And you go into the giant mouth. Now we're in the clock tower. Another classic area in the game. We actually saw this tower from the outside at the beginning when I pointed it out to you guys. So again, nice environmental storytelling there. And business about to pick up. Seamus, come on, man. We were having such a nice time. These skeletons they can be a pain in the butt, especially the way they're set up here. The one above you just teasing you, you know. And they only approach when you're heading away from them. But the holy water can help with that. And we don't want to get the dagger. That's the worst sub-weapon in the game. And that eagle was in the perfect position to make sure it could hit us without us being able to hit it back. It's kind of just easiest here, I find, to just march forward blindly and hope for the best. And they still get their cheap shots in. There's really nothing you can do about it. They're going to front load this place. I got lucky there for a second. And that was a cheap shot. And that one was too. And that one finished me off because I was on the stairs. I couldn't jump. My second death, guy. So yeah, I died twice. I forgot about that one. Yeah, this is definitely a tricky area. The what would you call them? The aerial deployment of the flea men is definitely going to trip you up. And you have stairs to deal with, bottomless pits. tricky stuff. It's one of the toughest sections in the game. And even other versions of it in other games, there's also among the most difficult sections in the game. But we'll get through it. We've only died a couple times. We've got plenty of lives left. So we don't have a whole lot to worry about there. We still have our holy water, so we want to keep that. That flea man was defying physics there. Physics don't matter to the creatures of the night. And we got lucky. It is just simpler at this point. You just make a beeline for the end, you know? If you can avoid it, avoid it. Otherwise, just do what you can. Because they're going to get their hits in. And that's the end of that. Luckily, this is where things do get a little bit easier. There's a bit of a trick candle there. It might have a small heart. And here's the final area, the staircase to the throne room. Here you can see the clock tower again from the outside. Really nice background effects for the time, of course. And you gotta love, this is the classic Dracula theme here. And yeah, he comes out from his coffin. You have to hit him in the head. There's a bit of a pattern. I was being a little gutsy there, and I defied it after that. But you want to jump just as he's opening his cape and hit him in the head. Right? It seems simple enough, but he can teleport just about anywhere, and his head goes flying, and he transforms. And here, if you've got the holy water triple shot, it's a done deal. You just finish him off. Much easier in this version. Because of his teleporting, he's very difficult to hit in the normal version. Because he can pop up just about anywhere. You might not have enough time to get out of his hitbox range. And you certainly might not have enough time to mount the proper counterattack, to jump at the right time to avoid the fireballs and to hit him. Now we get the cinematic crumbling of the Devil's Castle Dracula, Castlevania. And the credits will roll. So it's a very fun game, very rewarding to play. I have a lot of fun with it. I strongly recommend the Castlevania Anniversary Collection. Was a great set. Game with a lot of games. Came with some good gameplay options. You can do quick saves. You can save replays, all that kind of stuff. It's got some good screen filters, and of course you've got the background here, which is nice. It's better than looking at nothing, right? And it comes with a bunch of games, a whole lot of Castlevania games, and some are better than others, but they're all pretty fun to play. You get a lot of bang for your buck with this set. Later sets would be a lot smaller, which was unfortunate, but you know, that kind of stuff, it happens, right? It happens. So yeah, next up on this channel, you guys will be catching me playing Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse. That's going to be a more challenging one. We'll again be playing the Japanese version because it is easier. So until next time, this is Grim signing off, saying thanks for watching. Until next time, stay safe. Taste your tears and burn your field. Villagers praying at dawn, hands red, clutching brittle wheat. They hear my pick in the rock, count the beats like a failing heartbeat. Zombies crawl out of the slag, skeletons click in time. Vampires licking cracked lips, marching to the mouth of the mine. Every kill, a quiet number. Every soul, a little shine. All your heroes, just my harvest. All your gods, just veins in the mine. Oh yeah, I am the Lord of Soul, fallen king of the underworld. Hey, running in the dark for power, for gold. When I rise, your rivers pour my rage immeasurable. Once in a century I come to taste your tears and burn your fields.
from your fear, I reap your hope. I level up on every throat. You call it curse,